What is up everyone, this is Wrecker back with another build video. Now this is a really special one because it is a bit unique as most of the gear we're running is off meta. And I haven't seen many people using these gear pieces, especially the way I'm running them in this build. And honestly I was shocked myself after seeing the final outcome as it is extremely effective. Speaking of shock, with this build you will be shocking enemies for days because the synergy we have between St. Elmo's, the Shocker Punch exotic holster, your shield and also the talents in your chest and the backpack is so good that you can proc all the buffs from every single item I just mentioned all together at once. And what's even better is that we are immune from elites. Yes, we got fully capped out 80% protection from elites. You can melee legendary hunters in the face even without your shield and they can hardly tickle you. And that is also the reason I believe this is the best way to run the Shocker Punch exotic holster in order to utilize its full potential. On top, we are talking over 2 million base armor, 1 million bonus armor for your teammates, and to top it all off, guess what? I have also managed to max out on crit hit chance and crit hit damage numbers. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, right? But enough intro. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's begin. Okay, so starting off with the specialization, we are running the survivalist spec here. Two primary reasons for me. The first one being 10% increased protection from elites. Yes, that's really important because we need this percentage in order to cap out on 80% and fully max out on that protection from elites. The second reason for me running this spec is that all teammates are gonna get 10% additional damage to status affected enemies, and since we will be applying shock status effect most of the time, that's really handy. Other than that, it does come with a lot of perks that are really helpful, but make sure in your skill tree you have stacked in the right damage numbers for your primary weapon. For me, that's the St. Elmo's and assault rifle. So yeah, this is the specialization we are running here. Okay, so starting off with the weapons, of course we are running the one and only St. Elmo's engine because yes, it is very important to run this weapon for this build to perform as we want it to be. So the attributes: assault rifle damage, health damage, damage targets out of cover, and it's gonna give you a full mag of shock ammo every other mag. So that's really important because we want to put enemies on shock status effect as much as possible. So yeah, that's what we are running primarily. Mine is fully maxed out. You don't have to run a maxed out one because this is a full out stacked up tank build. We are not running any red cores whatsoever, so the damage doesn't really matter. But if you can upgrade it from your expertise rank, and there you have it. For the secondary and the sidearm, doesn't really matter because we won't be touching them at all while running this setup. So whatever you have, whatever you prefer, run it and we should be good to go. Okay, so starting off with the gear pieces, of course, Shocker Punch exotic holster. This is the item the whole setup is built around. So it comes with armor, explosive resistance, and hazard protection, of course all blue attributes. The talent that it comes with, it's called Defibrillator. I'm not gonna bore you to death by explaining everything simply because the first half of the talent isn't really beneficial as per my testing because the melee damage in this game is very lacklustering, especially when it comes to PvE content. Maybe it works in PvP combats, but not very much so in the PvE area. So basically in the first part of the talent, it's going to give you immunity 50% to shock status effect. Of course that is entirely beneficial in PvP. Then it says it's going to give you 100% melee damage. Again, doesn't really matter because it's very lacklustering melee damage. The next part says that using St. Elmo's engine with the holster will give you an additional 100% melee damage. Again, doesn't matter if it's 100% or 500%, it's very lacklustering. It doesn't do any damage to the NPCs. They're way too tanky for this. But enough of that. The part where it gets interesting and beneficial for us in this setup is the next one. It says It's gonna make the next melee attack to apply shock to the target. Yes, that we will be doing if I melee any enemy, regardless if we are holding the shield or not, it's gonna shock that particular NPC in front of us. But here's the thing, the talent we are running on our backpack, that's very important. That comes in very handy in conjunction with this part of the talent, because it's saying it's gonna shock the target we melee, but the talent we are running on the backpack, it's gonna shock all the enemies in front of us within 10-meter radius, which I will explain later when we get to the backpack. But moving on, it says using all 3 items, that's the St. Elmo's engine, the Shocker Punch holster, and your shield, which yes, we are running all 3. Mention bonuses, and the shock from the melee attack will have a 5-meter radius, starting from the first target. Again, the Shocker Punch holster itself is giving us a 5-meter radius. So if we are more than one enemy within 5-meter radius, they're gonna get shocked. But I have managed to make a synergy between this talent and the talent running on the backpack to increase that radius to 10 meters. And also the amount of enemies. Not only one single enemy from the holster, but any amount of enemies we have within a 10-meter radius, it's gonna apply shock to all those targets, which you will see in the gameplay. So that's really amazing. Also, keep in mind there's a 15-second cooldown to apply this. So basically you can, proc it over and over again every 15 seconds. So that's really handy. So that's about it for the holster itself, and it synergizes really well with all the gear pieces we are running. Okay, so the mask I'm running, this is very unique actually, and also exclusive. So it depends, if you have it or not, because it's very important. It's called the Chill Out Mask. I don't think it's in the game anymore, but it was, and it also, I don't know, the devs can put it in the game from time to time. We have seen this, I believe 2 or 3 times in the past, where they took it out but then added it again in the game for a tiny bit of duration, I believe during Christmas or stuff, but I don't know, they might add it again in the game. But if you already have it, you should run it, because we do need 2 mod slots in order to surpass that 80% protection from elites cap. But if you don't have it, that's fine, you will be losing out on 1 mod slot, which can lead up to potentially 13% reduced protection from elites. But you should be fine as long as you're really close to 80%, you should be good. But if you have it, you should run it, because we need those mod slots. The attributes that it comes with, of course, is a Gila piece. We're getting 5% total armor. That's really good for a tank build. We're getting armor, crit hit damage, and 2 mod slots on which I have stacked in 2 13% protection from elite mods. So yeah, that's the mask we're running here. Okay, now for the chest piece, I am running a Azina Getica chest piece. The one piece gets us 5% additional total armor, so that's really good again for a tank build. Attributes, same as the mask, armor, crit chance, crit damage, and also an additional 13% protection from elites mod. Now keep in mind, you can also craft this chest piece, because you can farm for it as well. It's very easy to come by, but you're gonna have to look for these same exact attributes, 2 reds, crit chance, crit damage, and an armor core. And of course the talent we are running on it is Vanguard, so that can be a tickle. It might take you some time to get these attributes and this talent on it. It took me I believe a week of farming countdown, because I was not getting the right attributes, regardless if I was crafting it or farming for it. But that's just my RNG. You could get it faster than me. But yeah, we are running Vanguard, which is gonna give us 45% bonus armor to the entire team every single time we pop our shield, which we will be, of course, most of the time. So every 25 seconds, the whole team is getting 1 million bonus armor as we go. So yeah, this is the chest piece we're running here. Okay, now coming to the backpack, this is the unique backpack that I was talking about earlier. It's called the Career. It came out with Year 5 Season 1 recently. It comes from the new brand set, Habsburg God. The one piece gets us 15% headshot damage. I mean, it's not that lacklustering, but 15% headshot damage is good than nothing. But same attributes as the other gear pieces: armor, crit hit damage, crit hit chance, and of course an additional 13% protection from elites mod in there. And that's the star of the show here that I was talking about, the talent, which synergizes insanely good with the Shocker Punch holster talent. Perfect creeping death. When you apply a status effect, it is also applied to all enemies within 10 meters of your target. So this is what it's gonna increase our radius of the shock effect to 10 meters, and the cooldown is only 10 seconds. But keep in mind, not only it's boosting our radius from the melee effect that we do from our shield, but also, let's say for example you shoot an enemy with the shock ammo with your St. Elmo's, regardless how far it is, that still counts for creeping death. So if there are 10, even 10, 15 enemies way far from you, if you apply shock, all those enemies are getting shocked for this talent. So that's insanely good, and I believe this is the best talent to run with the holster Shocker Punch in order to fully utilize the talents and the potential that holster has. But that's just my personal preference, but it works insanely good in testing as per my experience. So have it a go and test it out, and you're gonna love this. So yeah, that's the backpack we're running here. The next piece we're running, it's a glove, but it is a improvised glove. You can easily craft it from the crafting station. There is no other way to get this gear. So yeah, you're gonna have to look for armor core attribute and then 2 reds, crit damage, crit chance, and of course all improvised gear comes with 1 mod slot, which of course we will be needing for an additional 12% protection from elites. So yeah, that's the glove we're running. And lastly, same exact thing for the knee pads, an improvised knee pad here. Armor, crit hit damage, crit chance, and also an additional 12% protection from elites. So yeah, that's the knee pad we are running here. Okay, starting off with the skills, of course this is a tank build, and the shield is very important to run in order to proc the exotic talent from the holster Shocker Punch. So this is very important. You have to run Crusader Shield since we are using our St. Elmo's with it as well. So that's really important. And since we are fully stacked up on blue core attributes, it is getting boosted up to tier 6. So plus 60% active regen, plus 250% shield health, and plus 40% holster regen. So that's insanely good for any tank build. For the mods, we are running shield health on 2 of the slots and holster regen on the 3rd one. So this is really good because even though we are fully tanky and using a shield, and on top we are fully immune from elites, 80% protection from elites, so you won't even need the shield most of the time, but in order to proc our talents, this is important. So yeah, that's the one we are running here. Okay, so before I finally jump into the full overview for the build, let me show you the stats real quick. First of all, the crit numbers on our St. Elmo's. You can see we're sitting at just over 72k base damage, 54% crit chance, and 125% crit damage, 90% headshot damage, and of course we have 10% damage targets out of cover, which isn't listed here. Of course, this is the full tank build. We are not running any reds, but I have made sure that we will be critting as much as possible. So even if you have low damage numbers, you will still be critting and taking out enemies whenever you need to. So it's not, a tank with which is shooting basically nothing. You can still output some good amount of damage numbers here, even without no reds. So moving on to the defense tab here, as you can see we are sitting just over 2 million base armor, which of course, as I said earlier, due to the Vanguard talent we are running on our chest, we will be giving out 1 million bonus armor to all our teammates. So it doesn't matter heroic, legendary, 4 group team or 8 group team, everyone is getting 1 million armor every 25 seconds. So that's insanely good. And lastly, wrapping up all, we are sitting at 80% protection from elites. So again, you can feel free to melee legendary hunters or any enemy whatsoever, and you don't have to worry about getting dead or getting damaged from any of those elite enemies, as you might have seen in the intro and you will see in the gameplay at the end, this is very fun. And one thing to note here, if I count all the numbers manually from all my mods that I'm running, I am actually sitting at 86% protection from elite. So that's an overkill. But since the cap in the game is 80%, that's why it's showing 80%, but I'm running at 86%. So what I'm saying is, if you are lacking out damage, the percentage on your protection from elite mods, you don't have to run all maxed out 13% like I'm running most of them, but what I'm saying is you should be good. Even if you have a tiny bit of less protection from elites, as long as you are pretty close to 80%, you should be good to go. So don't worry about maxing out those mod slots, because yes, I understand this is a very hard mod to come by. So yeah, these are the stats on the entire setup. Okay, so this is the full build, everyone. We are running the survivalist specialization. That's really important because that's going to give us 10% protection from elites. As a primary, we are running, of course, the St. Elmo's engine. That's very important as well because the build synergy that we are running here, they're not going to work without this particular weapon here. The secondary and the sidearm doesn't really matter. We are not using them at all, but whatever you have, whatever you prefer, you can use what you like. For the mask, I am running the Chill Out mask. For the chest piece, we are running a chest from Uzina Gattaca with Vanguard talent on it. For the backpack, that's really unique. This is the new backpack that came out with year 5. It's called the Career. It comes with perfect creeping depth. That's the talent we must need in order to boost the talent we have on our exotic holster. Speaking of which, of course, we are running the Shocker Punch exotic holster here. And for the gloves and the knee pads, we are running both of them as improvised gear. You can craft it, very easy to get, and there you have it. Please keep in mind, as I showed earlier, you need to run minor attributes for crit hit chance and crit hit damage, and all mod slots with protection from elites mods in there. So that's really important. As a base number, we are sitting at 2 million base armor. For the skills, we are running the shield, and it's a fully stacked up shield, tier 6, so that's really handy. For the secondary skill, it doesn't really matter when I'm running in a group. Let's say, for example, I usually use the booster hive. That's really helpful, but you can run whatever you prefer. Lastly, we are fully stacked up on 80% protection from elites, as I mentioned in the stats. So this is really good. I can assure you, you're gonna love this synergy. Try running this build and let me know in the comment section what you guys think. So with that being said, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I hope you guys enjoy the gameplay. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya!